What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another Daily Deck Tech video and a viewer request. And today we have ourselves, some Brothers Yamazaki. But before we get into that, if you like the Daily Deck Techs, if you like Magic for the Working Class, History as Commander, or any of my discussion content, feel free to subscribe, but only if you feel I've earned it. Also, if you want to have your commander made into a deck tech, go ahead and drop it in the comments down below or fill out the Google form in the video's description. And then last but certainly not least, on Saturdays now at 5 p.m. Central Time, I'll be hanging out in the Discord for a little while and doing spell table games with y'all if you want to join. Sounds like it should be fun. If people show up, I'll play with y'all. If people don't, I'm going to probably play against the old randoms and let you know how it goes. But now, without further ado, let's get straight into it, shall we? So, Brothers Yamazaki. I actually really love this card. I remember opening a bunch of this one in Champions of Kamigawa. He's a 2/1 for 2 generic, 1 red, and Bushido 1, which means if he's blocked or becomes blocked, he gets +1/+1 till end of turn. If there are exactly 2 permanents named Brothers Yamazaki in play, the legend rule does not apply to them. And each other creature named Brothers Yamazaki gets +2/+2 and has haste. Now, for you newer folks out there, the legend rule normally states, so say I play Brothers Yamazaki here, and they did not have the legend rule does not apply. We'll use a different card. Say I play Elish Norn, right? And then I play another Elish Norn, and they're both Elish Norn Grand Cenobite. I have to choose one, and the other one dies, okay? That is the simple legendary rule. What it used to be is, so say I played Elish Norn and my opponent played an Elish Norn, both Elish Norns would poof into existence. It was actually really neat because at the time that this was still active, there was the Planeswalker Chase the Mind Sculptor, which used to be super busted and see tons and tons of play in Modern and Legacy. And people would play the Little Jace from Lorwyn as a counter to it by putting it in play and blowing up the opponent's Chase the Mind Sculptor. There you go. There's some magic, deep lore, and history. Now, before we get into everything else in this deck, I need to go over 3 cards for you today. And we're going to hop all the way down here to the artifact section. Because what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be making more than 2 Brothers Yamazaki. We're going to be making lots of Brothers Yamazaki. Just an entire family of Brothers Yamazaki today. And how we're going to get away with that, without, some of them dying by having more than 2, is we are going to have things like Mirror Gallery. Mirror Gallery is a artifact for 5 mana that says the legend rule doesn't apply. This is symmetrical, so your opponent can then also make, legendary tokens of things, so please be careful with this card. But it's originally from Betrayers of Kamigawa, and the reason they kind of made cards like this is because Kamigawa was the first set that we ever got that was just like super Legends heavy. Like super Legends heavy for back in the day. Now compared to like Marvel, it's like not ridiculous. But people actually were upset back in the day at how many Legends were in Kamigawa, right? You have Isamaru, Brothers Yamazaki. If you can think of a card from the Kamigawa block, it probably was legendary. Then we have Mirror Box, the updated and I would argue better version of it. Also, the lady looks super creepy. She's like staring into my soul here. But it's a 3-drop artifact that says the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. That's way better because 1, it only helps you. And 2, it costs 3, and then it's got some extra fun bonus text on it. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1. I like that. I'll take that all day. Essentially, nowadays, that says every card in your commander, or every creature in your commander deck gets +1/+1. And then each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that. Now, since we're making token copies of our Brothers Yamazaki today, those tokens won't get the buff. But the actual card will get the buff, and that's pretty sweet. That's pretty nice there. And then the other card that I wanted to talk about first is Sundial of the Infinite. Sundial of the Infinite is a 2-drop artifact that has a very simple ability. You pay 1, you tap it, and you end the turn, and you activate it only during your turn. Now, what's incredibly important about this card, and this is a bad version of it because it doesn't have the reminder text on it, is that when you end the turn in an unnatural way, via this or time stop or any of the other cards that just say end the turn, it removes all spells and abilities from the stack. And you're like, okay, I don't understand. Like, I don't follow. Well, take Fire Crystal, for example, here. It has an ability that you pay 6 to create a token copy that's a copy of target creature you control. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Well, if you end the turn, there is no end step. So what you want to do is you make all your little tokens that in red always get sacrificed at the end of turn, right? You do that, and then what you do is once you get done with combat and you go to second main phase, you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to end my turn early, and then you get to keep those tokens. And it's happy fun times for all. So those are the 3 cards that I really wanted to focus on right off the bat to kind of give you an explanation as to how this was going to work. All right, now into our supporting cast of creatures. So for our creatures, we do have our clone stuff in here. I did do like a samurai sub theme in here. Even have a backup plan so that way if we can't get a million tokens and we even just have 1 token that we can reoccur, we can attack with that 1 token and get some benefits. So who do we got? We got Aki Ronin. He's a 1/3 for 2, and whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. This is fine. Attacking alone with like say your brother's Yamazaki token, so that way you don't lose your brother's Yamazaki, will give you a loot effect. That's perfectly acceptable. Anger, as long as it's in the graveyard and you have a mountain, creatures have haste. Archetype of Aggression. Yes, I used this one as card of the day. This was supposed to be yesterday's video, but Canva was being dumb and thinking that I didn't have a DNS, which is pretty neat. Everything else was working on my end, though. Archetype of Aggression is a 3/2 for 3. Creatures you control have trample. Creatures your opponents control lose trample and can't have or gain trample. So that's pretty good. You know, the taking away, that's a really interesting stacks piece for red. Bloodmark Mentor, red creatures you control have first strike. Another buff for our brothers Yamazaki. Burnish Chart just gets you some lands. Pretty simple, straightforward card. Combat Celebrant. If it hasn't been exerted this turn, you can exert it as it attacks. If you do, untap all creatures you control, and you can have an additional combat phase. For our little clone buddies, we have Delana Wildmage. You roll a d20, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of a creature, except it's not legendary, and it has exile this card at the end of combat. And then we also have create one 15 to 20 for the roll of the d20 to create one of those tokens, roll again. We have Dutiful Replicator. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay 1. When you do, create a token that's a copy of target token you control, not named Dutiful Replicator. We have Belden of the Third Path. You create a token that's a copy of target creature card in your graveyard, except it's an artifact. In addition to its other types, it gains haste and sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. Then we have Fumiko, the Low Blood. Also, her art is sick. Like the black and red. It reminds me of when I would play Shogun Total War 2 back in the day, and still play it actively. And the Takeda armor with its black and red. But it's a 3/2 for 4. And Fumiko, the Low Blood, has Bushido X, where X is the number of attacking creatures, which is really sweet. Because she can also have has this ability that says creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. So she can block the creature, and you know, if you have a bunch of little dorky dudes attacking you, she blocks one and just starts cutting down the big things. Excellent. Gilgamesh is in here because we do have some equipment that we're going to be using. He's a 6/6 for 6. When he enters or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put any number of equipment cards from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. When you put 1 or more equipment onto the battlefield, you may attach one of them to a samurai you control. So put them on him, put them on Fumiko, put them on your brothers Yamazaki, all that. We have Goro Goro, Disciple of Ryusei. He's here to give things haste and also poop out dragons if you so need it. We have Heiko Yamazaki, the General. This art is also sick as hell. Trample, and whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. This is really good for getting back our equipment or our mirror galleries. Humble Defector, It's going to draw you cards and pass them around the table. Azuka, the Ruthless. He's got Bushido too, and you can sacrifice a Samurai. Samurai you control gain double strike until end of turn. Pretty good. Imperial Recruiter is going to tutor up a creature with power 2 or less. Jaxus is going to make clones. Lizard Blades is going to eventually equip. It's got reconfigure, so it enters as a 1/1, and then you can turn it into equipment. Give it the equipped creature has double strike. Mirage Phalanx, you soulbound this. Soulbound is you may pair this creature with another unpaired creature. When either enters the battlefield, they remain paired for as long as you control both of them. As long as Mirage Phalanx is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has the beginning of combat on your turn. Create a token that's a copy of this creature, except it has haste and loses soulbound. Exile at the beginning of or at the end of combat. There you go. We have Mirror Style Master, backup, and when this creature attacks, for each attacking modified creature you control, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it, and then you exile it at the end of combat. Othoro also makes token copies of our dudes. We have Professional Facebreaker. He's going to net you treasures. He has Menace. Whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, sack a treasure token, exile the top card of your library. You can play it this turn. We also have Torbrand. He's just going to amplify your red damage. Now, I did skip a card. I skipped Godo, Bandit Warlord, and that is because Godo is part of an infinite combo. A 2-card combo. It costs a lot of mana, but if you pull it off, it is an infinite combo. So when Godo enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And then when Godo attacks for the first time, untap all it and all samurai you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So, you know, we have a bunch of, we could make a bunch of clones of our samurai, and then we have Godo. So how is this going to get infinite combats? Well, you're going to grab Helm of the Host, and then you are going to equip Helm of the Host for 5. So like I said, you have to have like 9 mana to pull this off in one turn. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of an equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary and that token gains haste. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to equip this to Godo. You're going to move to combat, which poops out Godo, right? Awesome. Poops out a token copy, which then you get to search for an equipment. So you're going to get to search up all of these lovely little equipments: the Black Blade, Dowsing Dagger, Hammer of Nazan, Blade of Selves, Buster Sword, Konda's Banner, and Oathkeeper Takeno's Daisho. And then you're going to poop them all out onto the battlefield, and then you're going to attack with your token, which then it says when the first time Godo attacks, you untap and you have another phase. Okay, then you go to your next combat phase, it poops out another token. That token attacks. Oh, guess what? You get to go to another combat phase. It poops out a token. See? Infinite combat steps. Ta-da! And you could either kill your opponents this way, or alternatively, you know, get out all of your equipment and do silly fun things. There you go. That is what we do. All right, now for our sorceries, we have Blasphemous Act. It's removal. It's what it's in here for. We do have Electro Duplicate. Guess what? It makes a token copy of a creature. We have Heat Shimmer. Create a token copy of a creature. Also, this art is sick as hell. Twin Flame token as a creature. Relentless Assault, multiple combat phases. And Mana Geyser. We do have some stuff that costs a lot of mana. This card is really, really good. You have 3 opponents. Those opponents are going to be advancing their game plan. Especially in lower brackets, they're going to tap out for big Timmy creatures. You're gonna use this to get your own mana for big Timmy creatures. Now, for our instance, we have Battle Hymn. Add a red mana to your mana pool for each creature you control. Poop out a bunch of token copies of Brothers Yamazaki, which will all be pumped by each other, and then make a bunch of mana for them. And it's only 2, which is really good. Seething Song to help us get our stuff out faster. We do have Big Score, Demand Answers, Thrill of Possibility, Unexpected Windfall, all as our discard cards, draw cards. Some of them create treasures. We do have Flare of Duplication and Reverberate to copy spells and change the targets for them if we want to. That's really good for things like Temur Battle Rage here, or to redirect your opponent's stuff as well. Temur Battle Rage, of course, is target creature gains double strike until end of turn. That creature also gains trample until end of turn if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Artifacts, we talked about some of them, but we will go more in depth. Black Blade Reforged, +1/+1 for each land you control, and you can equip a legendary for 3. Hammer of Nazan, when it enters or another equipment you control enters, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. It gets +2/+0 and indestructible. Not bad. Blade of Selves gives Myriad. I know this equipment's not the best in the world, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Equipped creature has Myriad. So when you attack with the equipped creature, it sends another one at each other person you could attack. This also exiles tokens at the end of combat, so if you have Sundial, make sure you end the turn, so that way it doesn't exile those things. We have Buster Sword. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. When you deal combat damage to a player with the equipped creature, draw a card, then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost. This card's just very, 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 very good. There's a reason it's $60. We have the Dolmen Gate, so prevent all damage that would happen to attacking creatures you control. Dowsing Dagger. It's a little dorky artifact that gives +2/+1, but when you connect with a player, you get a Lotus Veil. I know it says Lost Veil, but it's a Lotus Veil. It taps to add 3 mana. We talked about Helm. We have Konda's Banner. I really like the art on this card as well. And this is by Donato Giancola, famous Magic artist. But it is a 2-drop equipment. It can only be attached to a legendary creature, which, surprise, surprise, like every creature is a legendary creature these days. Creatures that share a color with the equipped creature get +1/+1, and creatures that share a creature type get +1/+1. It's good, and it's thematic with the samurai theme. We do have Mirage Mirror. It becomes the copy of an artifact, creature, or enchantment, or land until end of turn. Notice that the Buster Sword is not a legendary, so you could do that with this. You cannot do it with this, though. Unless you have your Mirror Gallery out, or your Mirror Box, and then you can do fun things. We have Mirror of the Forebears. Choose a creature type as it enters until end of turn. It becomes a copy of target creature of the chosen type. You can do this with your brothers Yamazaki. Oathkeeper. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. When the equipped creature is put into a graveyard from play, return that card to play under your control if it's a samurai. And if this is put into a graveyard, the equipped creature gets exiled. Ruby Medallion makes things cheaper. Swiftfoot Boots for protection. Fire Crystal is in here. Makes things cheaper, makes tokens, and gives your stuff haste. All good. Aggravated Assault. This is going to let you have more combats. Warstorm Surge. It's just really good with pooping out tokens, especially since the brothers Yamazaki pump each other. It's going to smack people in the face for a ton of damage. And then Descent into Avernus. One of my favorite cards in all of Magic. It's a 3-drop. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put 2 Descent counters onto it, and then each player creates X treasure tokens, and it deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of Descent counters. This card's really good. It speeds up the game. It's fun. For lands, we have Arena of Glory to grant haste. We have Shinka to give first strike to a creature. We have Fire Nation Palace to give us some firebending. Tyrite Sanctum, War Room, Buried Ruin. Those are our... Oh, and Rogue's Passage because it's me. And then 30 mountains. That is the build. Now, let's go ahead and, see how it plays. Let's see what we got. We got a 3-land hand. We got... All right. This isn't bad. This isn't bad. I can work with this. We play a mountain, and we go to our next turn. Look at us. I am going to play Swiftfoot Boots. There we are. We're going to do this. We're going to play Brothers Yamazaki. Next turn, we're just going to equip our little boots. They are made for walking. And now he has Hexproof. And then we're going to probably just play our Blade of Selves here. Next turn. What I'm going to do is... It's honestly likely that somebody might not have something now, so we are going to put our Blade of Selves on, and we're going to swing. This will create 3 copies, so each of them, remember, is going to get +2/+2 for each other creature named Brothers Yamazaki. So there are 4, so they'll each get +6/+6, which is really, really good, because then you have a bunch of 8/7s attacking. Next turn, I'm going to play a mountain, and I am going to actually play Unexpected Windfall. And we're going to discard Anger into the graveyard. Look at that, friends. We draw 2 cards. We create 2 treasures. Boom. Boom. And then, you know, we... Oh, the Myriad copies blew up. So there's only actually 2. Well, 3. 2, because the legend rule gets canceled out there. I did play that wrong. My apologies. But you kind of see the gist. Unfortunately, we haven't drawn into our mirror galleries. They're a ways away, it would appear. If you get a hand with one of the mirror things in your opening hand, that's the optimal start, right? But we do have plenty of stuff here. We're getting some pretty good opening hands. Dowsing Dagger's really good. Just play this. I became a believer after testing it, after seeing it on the MTG Goldfish Commander Clash games, and I haven't looked back since. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.